Opening day is just a couple of days away, and the Mets still have a few roster decisions to make. Let's talk about it. And well, welcome back to New York Sports Wicker Media. I'm Watt2K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. If you're new, welcome aboard. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate everybody's support. If you're returning, welcome back. And a reminder, we go live every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. All right, let's get right into some New York Mets baseball, as the weather's getting a little bit warmer outside, although you wouldn't know it by the latter part of the week. It is starting to get that baseball feel back in the mix, and it feels pretty good. And as a Mets fan, it feels even better knowing that the Mets finally have a designated hitter for the first time since the National League implemented it. jdmartinez is here. 1 year, $12 million, $4.5 million for 2024. The rest will be deferred. And it was a signing the Mets really had to make to give that lineup a little bit more length, to give it some more legitimacy. So now, news breaks this morning on Saturday that JD Martinez will actually be starting the season in the minor leagues to sort of get his swing back, to get his groove back, to make sure that he's ready to go. So he will not be starting the season with the Mets. It's probably going to be about 10 days to 2 weeks is the early vibe that we're getting. So all of a sudden, there is that roster spot that we thought was going away, that JD Martinez was going to take, is open again. All right, so what I wanted to do, and I'll be doing a full Mets preview this weekend as well, definitely watch for that, but I wanted to look at really the last two both position player spots as well as the last two bullpen spots and who I think is going to take them. So we have to put JD to the side. You know, he's not going to be opening up the season with the big league club. And to me, that means markvientos has a roster spot for at least 2 weeks. It's like his, I hate to say his like stay of execution, but it's like, no, we're about to put you in the chair and pull the switch. I'm sorry to get graphic, but it's that sort of a situation before he was going to go to the minors. Well, he's going to get 2 weeks with the big league club to see what he could do. Now, to me, I've made no secret about it. I am not a big markvientos believer. I know he can slug. I know he has power, but that's what he is. He is a one-trick pony. He cannot play defense. You know, watching him play third base is just absolutely painful. He's a right-handed, designated hitter, nothing more, nothing less. Now, he's hitting 200 in spring training, and that's going 2 for 4 last weekend. Now, I think Vientos, he's going to have that opportunity early on. We'll see what happens, but I don't think there's room for both Vientos and Martinez on this roster because ultimately, how many players can you have on a 26-man roster who are exclusive designated hitters and hit from the same side of the plate? All right, so I think Vientos starts the season with the team, but he goes back down to Syracuse once JD Martinez is ready. All right, so that's one roster spot. The other one is sort of like the left-handed DH, backup first baseman sort of spot. Now, I've always been a djstewart fan, not even when he was with the Mets, but going back to his days with the Norfolk Tides. I got to watch him play in person a little bit. I admit there's a little bit of bias, but I'm going to be fair. You know, he brings power. He played, I thought, pretty good defense, better defense than what you would expect. You know, he was able to track down balls well, took good angles to those fly balls, and had a really great 2023 with the Mets up until the month of September when things started to kind of disintegrate a little bit for him. But spring training has not gone well for him at all. He's hitting about 160. And the thing with him is he does still have minor league options. Going into spring training, I felt he was on this roster unless he played his way off of it. Unfortunately, I do think it's heading that way. So then that basically gives the spot to jimanchoi. I know they still have lukevoit. Lukevoit is hitting like 107, please. Now, jimanchoi is hitting a little bit better than that. He's hitting 222. The thing is, though, he can opt out of his deal with the New York Mets on Monday, March 25th. So the Mets have to make that decision. I think Choi makes the team. I think Stewart goes down to Syracuse. Although I will expect to see him in the majors at some point. Now, with the bullpen, to me, there are 6 spots locked in, and there are 2 spots available. I expect the Mets to have 13 position players, 13 pitchers. You have your 5-man rotation. That means you have 8 relievers left. All right, or eight relievers to pick from, and I think 6 of those spots are taken. We'll get more into that on the season preview. So to me, up until this morning, it was basically 4 pitchers for 2 spots. Now, the news that just came down just as I was about to start recording, so this is sort of a breaking news deal, is that philbickford has been designated for assignment to create the roster spot for jdmartinez. Now, the Mets got him in a trade from LA last season. He's been kind of up and down this spring. 4 games, 3 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs allowed, 6 strikeouts. His ERA is over 7, and he didn't have any minor league options. So the Mets DFA'd him. We'll see if anybody actually does take him. But I felt of the 4 pitchers who were really in the mix here, he was pretty much in last place. The Mets also, I think, sent down Austin Adams as well. But that leaves basically 3 pitchers, and this is where the Mets are going to have a very difficult decision. So I wanted to take a second and talk about all 3 of the pitchers, and then I'll give you my thoughts on who makes the roster. Now, the first pitcher is Michaeltonkin, 34 years old, free agent signing from Atlanta. Now, none of these pitchers have minor league options, meaning if the Mets were to not put them on the major league roster for opening day, they've got to expose them to waivers. And I don't think the Mets want to risk losing any of these players. But Tonkin, 34, a little bit older, pitched 4 games in spring training, 5 1/3 innings, 3 hits allowed, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, no runs allowed, and a whip of 0.94. Very, very good. Then you have Seanreidfoley, the king of the mustache. If you're a WWE fan, he looks like Dexter Loomis's twin brother. But 28 years old, this is his 4th season already with the Mets. No options either. Last year, he actually pitched okay. He only pitched in 8 games, 7 2/3 innings, 6 walks, 16 strikeouts, a 3.52 ERA, and a 1.3 whip. Decent, not fantastic, but decent enough. In spring training this year, he's been excellent. 4 games, 4 innings pitched, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, no hits allowed, no runs allowed, and a whip of 0.25. A 0.25 whip is unbelievable. That means you allow 1 base runner every 4 innings. That's crazy. I know he's 28 years old, and his track record from spring training does not suggest this is who he's going to be. And I know you can't put too much stock in spring training results. I'm not saying how they pitch in spring training is how they will perform during the season. But for the purpose of narrowing down the roster, what else do we really have to look at? All right, so Seanreidfoley is number 2. Number 3 is Yohanramirez, also 28 years old. He was acquired from the White Sox this offseason in exchange for some cash. He's excellent against righties. And in spring training, he has pitched in 6 games, 8 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, no runs allowed, and a 0.75 whip. So he has shown some really good pure stuff, and in 2 straight outings, he's pitched 2 innings of scoreless relief, striking out 2 after whiffing 4 in his last appearance. I think the reason why Yohanramirez is at the top of my list is he can pitch multiple innings. And in Major League Baseball nowadays, where 6 innings is like basically taxing the pitcher's arm, right? A starting pitching appearance is 5 to 6 innings, and the Mets aren't exactly loaded up with horses in this rotation. They've got a lot of decent pitchers, a lot of middle of the rotation starters. So you might need that pitcher who can come in and pitch 2 innings and keep the game, still within reach. So I think Yohanramirez should definitely make this team. And that takes it basically down to Seanreidfoley or Michaeltonkin. And to me, I don't know. I think I would keep Reid-Foley right now and take the risk on exposing Tonkin to waivers. But either way, I would not be upset. But I do think they definitely need to keep Yohanramirez. So my initial thought is when the final roster comes down, it will be Ramirez and Reid-Foley on the team. But Tonkin would be the next one. If I was to be wrong on that, Tonkin would take the spot of Reid-Foley. But we'll see what the Mets wind up doing. But those are my thoughts on the bottom of the roster for the New York Mets and who I think is going to claim these last couple of roster spots. If you have any thoughts, you have any questions, put them right down there in the comments. And like I said, I'll be recording my Mets season preview this weekend as well, so watch for that. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you right back here with more content from you know where, the Wicker Chair.